Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Inclusion Matters podcast with Inclusion Pro Wrestling. I am the Crippled Messiah, and uh, joining me today is Lance Chase and Nikki Chase. How are you guys doing this morning?
Good.
So far, so good.
All right. Well, it's a Wednesday, so we're halfway through the week, so that you know, there's that.
Very true.
So, can you tell us a little bit about you guys?
Sure. Chelsea, you want to start?
No,
Nikki?
you go ahead.
Okay. So I'm Logan Chase, 33 years old. Had to think about that for a second. Got into pro wrestling. Well, I was into pro wrestling as a kid. My sister and I watched it when we were growing up. I was a huge Stone Cold Steve Austin fan. Kind of fell out of it a little bit as we got into high school and stuff like that because I got a little bit more sidetracked with like high school sports and everything. But around 2014, my sister kind of showed me a clip of Seth Rollins, and it kind of piqued my interest again. And I kind of fell back in love with pro wrestling, and I moved out to Colorado. I believe Chelsea moved out. Nikki moved out here in 2015, and I moved out in 2017. And then we started. Well, she started training before I did, but we started kind of training around the same time in 2021, right? I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
November.
November of 2021. And she had her debut match in December of last year, and I had my debut match in January, and it's just kind of taken off since then. But it's been a heck of a lot of fun, and it's something I get to do with my sister, so that's always really cool too. So yeah.
Very
Yeah.
nice.
And
Go ahead, sir.
I'm the cooler twin. Nikki Chase. A lady never tells her age, but it probably wouldn't be hard to find on the internet these days. No, I like Chase said, we watched wrestling growing up, and I was really into Chyna. I loved that she could hang with the boys and that she was this just powerhouse, and I thought that was like so cool. She would come out there and just tossed around the boys like they were nothing. I think she was also the first woman in the male like Royal Rumble, so I was like, I want to do that. Of course, as like time went by, I got into like other things with high school, and then the story Chase was alluding to, I was actually in grad school, and I had just finished like a 3-hour exam, so it was like from 6 to 9 p.m. where you're in like this just awful room, like reciting like material. And I went home and Raw happened to be on, and it was the episode where Seth Rollins turns on the Shield, and I just remember being like, yeah, like I was so amped. I was like, I forgot how much I missed this, and the storytelling, this is awesome. And I sent it to Chase or Logan, and Logan, do you remember what you said to me?
Well, if I remember correctly, it was when Seth Rollins was trying to bring back the Authority. So it was when John Cena had beaten Seth Rollins and they had banished the Authority, and it was the Monday Night Raw after that. And she told me to tune in, and the first clip I see is Seth Rollins basically threatening to break Edge's neck if he doesn't bring back the Authority. And I hadn't watched it in so long, and I just remember making fun of my sister, being like, "Are you sure you're not kind of like regressing? Is there something going on over there? Do you need to talk?" But I ended up, we watched the whole thing, and I from that day forward, I was addicted again, and I ended up actually going back and like rewatching a bunch of old stuff like CM Punk's rise in the WWE and stuff like that too. So it was great. It got me hooked again, and like she said, it reminds you why you loved it too, from the storytelling to the characters to the over the topness of it. It was great.
And so yeah,
that was just a great storyline. You know, that whole Authority, and so
yeah. And yeah, as Chase said, I kind of joined the pro wrestling world a little earlier. I initially tried out, kind of put my feet in the water, I think in 2016. I just wasn't in a place where I could commit to like training full time because of work and just my job. But then I had a friend who was teaching a wrestling class, and she needed warm bodies. And she's like, "You want to come?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." And that was in November 2021. And here we are.
wow. So, okay, I was gonna say this till later, but I'm curious. So, Nikki, you recently like in the last few months, wrestled Tyra Rusame at the Batters Up thing for CSW, which
Yes.
we've done a lot of interviews with people from CSW, including Randy like twice.
Hmm.
Can you tell us a little bit about that match and the fact that she had been champion at that point for like in what seemed like ever?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
full
over
year.
a year. So it was really cool the way we were brought into CSW. Chase actually made his debut first, and the crowd just immediately hated us. And that's what we were going for. But to see just like the hatred when even when like our music hits or we step out onto that stage. So I got the title shot because I beat Hussey Steele, and Hussey wasn't really a fan favorite. And one of my all-time favorite moments is that I got the crowd cheering for her simply because they hated me so much.
Yeah.
So then I took on Tyra, I believe it was the end of May of this year. And a hard fought battle. It's no secret that, she has been a staple of the Colorado women's division, has held 2 titles simultaneously, works her tush off. So just a really hard fought battle. And ultimately she came out on top for now. I know for now.
I love that confidence. So, you said that Logan made his debut. What can you give us your thoughts on your debut for CSW?
Yeah, was that Chase or was that with Hussey? Was that my in-ring?
For your in-ring debut?
Yeah.
Yes, Hussey would have been your first match.
Yeah. So, yeah, I was introduced to the crowd when Logan took on Crash Daddy down there in a title shot, and like I said, they were immediately not on our side. So the next month, taking on Hussey and being able to kind of climb the women's division there to earn a title shot within 6 weeks time was pretty awesome. And Hussey was she put up quite a fight, but I think we all saw who dominated that match.
Very nice. And Crash Daddy is not an easy guy to wrestle, period. I mean, especially like you said, as popular as he is. So, can you tell us like your thoughts about getting your chance to wrestle him, let alone in your debut match?
Yeah, I was actually quite excited too. I think that was maybe my 4th or 5th match since my debut. And Crash Daddy is basically a legend in Colorado wrestling. He's a fan favorite everywhere he goes. So nerves going into it for sure because it was his first title defense, and you want to be able to go in the ring and kind of put on a good show for the fans. But you also want to be competitive too. I didn't want to go out there and just get squashed by Crash Daddy. So. It was fun to go out there and kind of establish not only myself, but also to have Nikki come out there as my manager and kind of establish us both to the CSW crowd. And then just to work with a legend like Crash too was so fun. He's definitely not someone you can throw around in the ring. So I had to adjust my offense a little bit to fit more of what I could do. But he's a veteran. So at the end, he was able to kind of get the upper hand and lay in a big leg lariat and got the 1, 2, 3. But like I said, it was definitely an honor to be his first defense after he won the title. That was a really big honor for me.
Hold on. Let's talk about the spot that I had you set up for the win, and you blew it.
Well, to be fair, if you would have held Crash Daddy and instead of letting him escape, you wouldn't have got the body splash.
We planned this out.
At least you took it like a champ, though.
I'm still sore. Still pretty sore.
Isn't that what Major told us a lot, though, in their Crippled Messiah?
Yes, it is, actually. Major actually told us that story, too, so...
Right, where Chase got me?
got you splashed. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of the highlights of my career. I try not to tell a lot of people about it, but
It was a long car ride.
You can feel the sizzling love when the joy of your life so far is getting your sister splashed in a wrestling match.
and mom couldn't yell at me for it either, because technically it's one of those things that happens in pro wrestling.
See, that's a perfect cover, so you're good.
So there you go.
Aren't you supposed to protect your siblings, though?
Well,
That's
I mean,
what I'm saying.
You're
You
right,
also,
but come on.
almost got
She wrestled
the
Tyra.
cover.
She can handle herself.
we did
Yes,
we
but
did just get our first opportunity to face each other at the last Colorado Wrestling Connection show, and that was an awful lot of fun. I do look forward to the day that it can just be Nikki Chase versus Logan Chase in the ring. That'll be a really fun match.
But, Nathan, I want to go back to that for a second. Yes, you're right. She did wrestle Tyra. But what was the result of that match?
She already said she lost. We're not going to keep bringing that up because she'll get her back eventually.
For now. I lost
That's
for
right.
now.
But who beat Tyra?
We know you're obsessed with Panda, so get the Panda thing out of the way now so we can move on to the rest of the interview.
I did pick up the title. I don't know if it was last month or the month before, and I'm happy for her.
Yeah, Panda
As
works
are
her
we.
butt off. She definitely
Very
earned that title
happy
shot,
for
and that victory was really cool to see.
So before I ask my next question, I want to say thank you to our newest sponsors, which is Precision Power Washing. And you can find him on Facebook, El Ranchero's Mexican Restaurant in Longview, Washington, and American Family Insurance. And you can find Kevin Wasson is the guy that's sponsoring us. So thank you to all of them. So you guys mentioned this a little bit at the beginning, but who were some of your wrestling heroes growing up?
Logan,
You want me to
wanna
go?
Yeah.
I always have to go first. So especially as a kid, Stone Cold Steve Austin, but I think, anybody that was like a 90s kid loved Stone Cold Steve Austin. I loved DX too, Triple H, Shawn Michaels. Yeah, I was a huge Stone Cold Steve Austin mark. So especially when he walked out of the WWE, that kind of really hurt how much I was following wrestling, but I still stayed up with it a little bit. The Rock was always great too. All those big names. I loved Mankind. He would just throw his body around like a crazy man. And so yeah, he was always fun to watch his matches too. I know China was always great too. I always think about the time that she won the Intercontinental title. Very impressive. Definitely set the standard for women's wrestling. They talk about the women's revolution and stuff like that, but realistically, it started back with China because she was one of the first women to kind of break down those barriers and get a chance to not only enter the Royal Rumble, but then also face off for the Intercontinental title as well. So that's really cool. Nikki.
Oh yeah, well I think as I mentioned, China, like I said, she was throwing around the boys, and I kind of think that reflects my training. It's no secret that the women's division in Colorado is small, so a lot of my training and is with guys, so to be able to take their punches and get them over for suplexes, and Chase can talk to my clothesline. And how powerful that is if you don't remember the last CWC show. I think also I really like some of the women in OVW back in the early 2000s. So Nikki LaFleur, and she was a few years later, but Beth Phoenix. I love the kind of powerhouses. I'd love to train. I know I see videos of Natalia at her private setup ring, and just how technical she is and how smooth she is. That's really an inspiration.
Very nice. So the promo I remember, other than the Mega Power ones is the one where Major Glory had Chase and Glory, sorry, had lost the match, and they were like, you guys were kind of going back and forth about what happened, and like Nikki, you came up and were like, nope, you guys both lost. We're gonna make this, and you just had like so much attitude in that promo.
Well, yeah. I mean, I always kind of give them attitude because they're together. I'm assuming the promo was shot. Were we in a ring?
No, it was like after the match, and it was kind of like by some double doors.
It was after the show at the Roxy.
Ah, yes.
Yes. She always has to give us a little bit of attitude because she doesn't think we take it seriously enough, because Major and I like to have a little bit of fun. So she brings a little bit of attitude to try to keep us in line.
At the end of the day,
I think I find her a little bit more scary than Major does, though.
I definitely got like some like Sasha Banks vibes from that, right? Like I'm just gonna be like the boss. I'm gonna come in. I'm gonna like tell you guys how it is, and we're gonna get this done.
Well, I mean, some people would probably argue that maybe Nikki is the boss of the Colorado clique, but I don't know. I'd like to argue that maybe I am, so who knows?
I think we all know who the ship is.
There.
Yeah.
I love this.
I don't know. I'd have to agree with Nikki. I think she's the boss, just because, which brother would let her take a, splash off the top, that's just wrong.
She's not going to let that go this whole podcast.
She had the opportunity to move. She didn't move. That's all I'm saying. I was like a locomotive. I was going to hit that target no matter what.
Champions pivot. All right. And you didn't pivot.
Yeah, but as a brother, aren't you supposed to save your sister?
Well, yeah, I mean,
technically. And who pulled me down when the pillars were going to chokeslam me? It wasn't you. Wasn't you.
I mean, I was there, just not as quick.
Mm-hmm.
Major was a little bit quicker to get up than I was, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. So we do a lot of like top fives on here. So, for both of you, top 5 tag teams of all time.
That's a good one. I definitely think top 5 is going to be the Von Erichs for sure. Midnight Express. I love a lot of those old 80s tag teams. Then you got FTR, who's kind of a throwback to that kind of old school tag team wrestling nowadays. Oh boy, DX, of course. I love DX. Whether it was Road Dogg and Billy Gunn, or if it was Shawn Michaels and Triple H teaming together. And then, of course, who doesn't love the Hardys, right? That's probably one of the greatest tag teams of all time. I love those guys so much. Anything from their old stuff with the TLC to even the newer stuff they've done in TNA and stuff like that. It's always so fun to watch those guys work together. Plus a little bit of an inspiration too, because it's brothers working together, and then me and my sister hopefully we'll get to do some tag team wrestling sometime too.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with all of those. There's something to be said about the 80s like tag teams and the storytelling and the character and just the emotional solicitation of the matches they put on is. I mean, you see it on YouTube. You can get a lot of those matches on YouTube, and you see it, and it's just like, this is awesome. I appreciate the like high flying tag teams of today. It's not my style. Nikki Chase keeps both feet on the ground, but it's definitely athleticism.
Very nice. So I follow a little bit of the Colorado scene because that's where I was born, even though I moved out here, early, but I have a lot of family that lives out there, and we made a lot of connections. But from the both of you, who are like maybe 5 people that you think are like underrated in Colorado that people might not have heard of yet?
That's a good one. Well, I mean, if you haven't heard of Frenchie, he's one of our members of the Colorado Click. I think Frenchie is definitely one of the biggest up and coming stars here in the Colorado scene. He's the current chopping block champion at Primos, and he does a great job defending that title month after month. A lot of the folks we work with at CSW are really talented folks. So you got Killian Crow, Niles Blood, Type 1 Warrior, Kay Daver. There's so much talent right now out here in Colorado that's younger and up and coming, but they're going to be making a splash here as the years move forward.
I'm really excited to see Violet Rampage as she's up and coming. She's made her debut, and she's definitely going to be a threat to be reckoned with. I also think Silencio,
yes,
who debuted at CSW with you guys this last show, and he's good. He's good. He's young. He's got a background in jiu-jitsu, and when he gets up and going, he's going to be someone you want to watch.
And if you haven't heard of Chasing Glory, they're pretty up and coming too.
Oh yeah. I could see them in the next, maybe, year or so, maybe sooner, being tag team champions in Colorado.
That's what we're hoping for. We're working for it.
Yeah, I heard Nikki was the best part of the Chasing Glory, though. So that's just me.
You might not be wrong. We get it. A lot of the fans seem to cheer her more than they cheer us, but we still do our best. Well, you have a cheering section out there. You got to listen closely over the booze, but it's out there.
I think what sets me apart and what makes me the leader of the Colorado Click Chasing Glory is I'm not afraid to get my hands dirty. You have to know the rules back and forward in order to break the rules. And that is something I'm not opposed to putting into action.
That sounds like something Eric Angel taught you.
Or I taught him.
Oh, yeah.
The funny thing about that was Chase's list specifically, we've interviewed about 90% of the people you talked about on the podcast.
Yeah.
So, you talked about the click. Can you guys tell us a little bit about how that formed?
Yeah. It actually kind of started as a little bit of a joke. Really, it was just kind of, we always, Major Glory, Frenchie, Nikki, and myself always kind of trained together. We were always there on the same days and stuff like that. And one of the other trainees that was there kind of mentioned how we seemed like we're a little bit of a clique. And I just kind of, from that moment on, I was like, oh, well, we got to use that because that's too good. So, I didn't want to call ourselves just the Click. So we added a little bit of Colorado part in front of it. So we're the Colorado Click. And really, it's just about friends. You know what I mean? It's the four of us. We love pro wrestling. We love training together. We love tagging together. And that's really what the Colorado Click is about. We try to be as open as possible. Sometimes we got to, jump some people if we need to, but we still try to do our best to have what was that?
BFF them?
Yeah, BFF them if we have to. But we still try to have fun and be inclusive. And, if somebody wants to join the clique, we're always willing to, BFF them into the clique if they want to join.
And I love that because in wrestling in general, stables like that or groups like that just work. If you look back in the history, you got the Four Horsemen or the NWO or
yep,
or stuff or DX, so to bring that into the current day is awesome.
And we all protect each other too, trying to keep each other, safe, and if we can, and maybe sometimes cheat a little bit to help get ourselves over, but it's all about, putting the click over as best we can.
Hey, a win's a win.
There you go. That's all that matters at the end.
And sometimes, we've got to push Frenchie a little bit.
Yeah, he doesn't like to bend the rules as much as maybe Major, Nikki, and I do, but we can sometimes get him there.
And I'm sure he'll get there. He seemed like a very, very intriguing person when we interviewed him. So
Yes, Frenchie's awesome. He's very he's very mystifying, but he's also got that mile high misfit attitude with him too. So it's great.
And a little too polite in the ring.
Sometimes, yes. Sometimes.
A little too polite.
That just means he needs a little more seasoning. You know what I mean? Maybe
There
get
you
some
go.
of that Nikki vibe going, and he'll be fine.
There you go.
Exactly.
So, top 5 female wrestlers of all time.
Ooh, Nikki, you take it.
Oh, man, I've got like so many like going around in my head right now. Best. Oh man, I don't know. Chase, you start some off, and I'll.
Well, I mean, if you're going to go with anybody in the modern day, you got like Charlotte Flair, who I think she's one of the great. She's like just like your dad, a very great technical wrestler, but she also has some of those high flying spots too. I love Sasha Banks. I love Bailey. So any of those 4 horsewomen, they're awesome. Becky Lynch too. Io Sky. And then you have some of the folks in AEW, Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter. A lot of the women over there they do great things too. Honestly, women's wrestling right now is peaking, and it's really impressive to see, because when they do get a chance to showcase those matches, they're always great.
And I think obviously, like, I love that Trish Stratus is back in the ring at 48 years old. And that body is a work of art. I know she posted on Instagram, and I know she's got her own yoga studio and things like that. And she posted this photo in a bikini on Instagram, and I was just like, this belongs in a museum. So the fact that she's still out here, and I think she did like her first ladder match a couple months ago. I don't know if it was her first, but at least for the Money in the Bank. And the fact, like I said, that she's still doing this, still loves it. I loved Ivory and the censorship character. I'm blanking.
Right to censor.
Right. Yes.
Right to censor.
Yep.
Yeah. Absolutely. Totally. And she's so good in the ring. She's so good. Just technical on her spots, but also has that awesome like character and can bring the crowd into it. I really like Britt Baker. I think she's actually one of the ones I was inspired by when we kind of started training again, because she has a professional background, and she was kind of one of the really first people to do like a pro wrestler and someone with like, she's got a doctorate in dental medicine, and that was really cool to me that the crowd was expanding, and and of course all the other ones I mentioned before.
And the fact that like Britt Baker works that schedule that she works, keeping like her dentistry up, is just insane to me. Like,
that has to be brutal. I have a job. I know her. I have a job where I sit a lot too. And of course she's like probably hunched over Mel's, and then like bumps aren't exactly the most, relaxing for your back. So I just cannot even imagine. And she's like posting about like 12:30 workouts, 12:30 at night workouts. And yeah, she's an inspiration. Hope she's resting too and taking time for herself.
Absolutely. Okay, I'm going to hit a hard one. And you guys can do this together if it's easier. If you could book a WrestleMania card from any generation, no questions asked, independents are available, who would be on the card? 6 matches.
Ooh.
6 matches?
Yeah.
Ooh. I don't know, Chase. Who do you think?
Well, I feel like if I would have to throw in some Attitude Era folks just because of the throwback. So I definitely want to put people like Chris Jericho and some of the good over-the-top characters from back in the Attitude Era. So like Chris Jericho and maybe like Stone Cold in a match. That'd be great. Or Trying to think of some other good ones too. Nowadays too, you have so many good matchups that you could throw in there. So maybe a throwback to like old school and new school, and you could do something like Hook versus MJF. That'd be an incredible match to see there too. That'd be a very good technical match. What do you think about women?
Nikki Chase, absolutely. Probably main card. I would think main event. No. Gosh, who would I? I'd
like to see Sasha Banks versus Io Sky. I think that would be an incredible matchup.
Yeah, oh my gosh, Io is amazing. Watching her matches, yeah, I would love to see that. I'd love to see like a final time all out between Trish Stratus and Mickie James. Both women who are still killing it today would be really awesome. Let's see, who else?
I think if you wanted to do another good throwback match too, like an Attitude Era versus now, The Rock versus, like, maybe if you can't use MJF in that one, then The Rock versus MJF or something like that too, because I could see those two working each other over on the mic. That'd be great. Or even nowadays too, maybe The Rock versus LA Knight, because LA Knight's up and coming and has that great mic skills and stuff like that too. So that'd always be an interesting feud.
That would be awesome.
I'm trying to think about independent wrestlers that I've come across. Especially out here in Colorado. But what do you think, Chase?
Well, we've seen Tyra and Urza work together a lot, and they always put on some incredible matches. Both of those two are so incredibly talented.
Yeah.
Tyra, has been all over the world. Urza works her butt off. She's incredible. She gets better each and every day, and you can seriously see it at practice when she's working. So I think you could put that in front of a WrestleMania crowd, and I think they would love it. And
they're both like very complementary styles, with Tyra being very technical and Urza is a high flyer. They absolutely put on some bangers. I'd like to see the Pitbulls. Maybe the Pitbulls against who would be a good one for them?
The Pitbulls against the New Age Outlaws.
That would be good. Yeah.
That'd be a good one.
Yes.
Hard hitting.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Or SDR. Yeah, it would be just as JR says, a slobber knocker.
There you go.
I have a connection to the Pitbulls. Before I did this podcast, I did a internet radio show with the original Pitbull, Gary Wolf.
Oh, nice.
Which, believe me, for a wrestling fan, that was an eye-opener like you wouldn't believe. Like, the only one that annoyed me was Bill Alfonso.
See, we only know Elias and Eric Angel, and we really only know them because they beat us up so much.
Okay.
Taking a lot of super kicks.
Yes.
Of super kicks.
And chops.
So, what's the craziest? Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, the women of WoW. I've really enjoyed watching that their weekly shows and learning about some of their characters. Of course, Wrecking Ball is well known on the Colorado scene. Heidi Howitzer. I've not had the pleasure of meeting her, but I love watching her work. I'm taking on Sylvia Sanchez this weekend in New Mexico. So just watching these ladies who may not have another platform to show their craft, show their talents, I love it.
Congratulations on getting that match, and good luck, because that's pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm. The thing is, I've been watching her and studying her. She doesn't know anything about Nikki Chase.
So you have the advantage.
Let's just say there's going to be a new reign in New Mexico come Friday, August 11th.
So I have two matches because you guys were trying to come up with matches for people in Colorado that would be on that card. There were two matches that popped into my head. One is Chase and Glory versus the Rockers.
Ooh.
Because I think, the styles would be different, but they'd be similar enough that, you guys could create something.
Yeah.
Battle of the Hair.
And yeah, and the other one is the Crash Daddy Johnny Crash versus Rikishi.
Ooh, that would be a really good one.
Oh.
Rikishi just better make sure he protects his nips because Johnny Crash likes to pinch him.
I
know
noticed
that from personal experience.
Black and blue for a week, Chase was.
I couldn't feel him after the match. It was terrible.
So what's the craziest match that both of you have been in?
I think the craziest one so far would definitely be I would say our trios match that we did last month, that was our first trios match.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun, but it was also really wild because, with trios, it's not exactly the same as a normal tag team. That, it's 6 people, 3-on-3, and the rules sometimes kind of get thrown out the window. So that was very wild to adjust to, but also really fun too, because it's always kind of fun to work a more fast pace, high action style, as opposed to, with Major and I, we would love to slow it down and be in control as much as we can. So working that trios match and kind of getting a different fast, quick pace style was really fun and new. And it was a crazy, crazy match. So it was a really cool time.
And I think speaking on that match, teaming up with my enemies and having to work together, we know each other's style. We know what to look out for when you're on the opposite side of the ring, but when you're on the same side of the ring, it's a different dynamic.
Yeah, but it also tells a great story, especially if the fans know that you guys are enemies, because it's like, are they going to get along?
They did beat us, to be fair, so.
The second round, well, and to be fair, I knew the style of the Colorado Clique, so I had some insider knowledge on how to bring about defeat for them, but it fell apart in the second match for us.
Yeah, you don't know Lucha as well.
No.
So, top 5 managers of all time.
Ooh. Paul Heyman for sure.
That was the first one that came to mind for me. That
Paul
man
Heyman.
talk.
Yep. Jim Cornette from back in the day was a great manager with his tennis racket, always hitting people.
And you still see people talking about, I know he's very popular with his podcast, and he's truly a legend now in the pro wrestling field. But the last show, somebody showed up with his tennis racket and his suit for Jim Cornette, and I thought that was phenomenal.
It's instantly recognizable.
Very cool.
I'm thinking too, back to the Attitude Era, Jeff Jarrett and Deborah, just because Deborah was such a good distraction for him, and it brought him such nuclear heat because everybody loved Deborah, but they hated Jeff Jarrett. So she was a great manager for that role as well.
It's a very good choice. Nobody said that on this podcast, but you're right. So.
Yeah, it's like everybody kind of forgets how good she was back in the day because, the whole puppies thing, but she was a great distraction, and she's one of those managers too. She never really had to get physical. She could always just kind of use her looks or her cunning ability to kind of distract them and help Jeff Jarrett get the win.
Mm-hmm.
You got any, Nikki?
Oh,
gosh, I'm really excited for Julia Hart. She's so young and so athletic, being I believe a collegiate cheerleader, and I love what she's doing, the character switch with the House of Black, but she's also a force to be reckoned with as she's doing her own matches, and the house always wins, so it's been really cool to watch to watch that.
Yeah, and it's been such a drastic character change. You know, she went from being like the cheerleader for the varsity blondes to, you know, this destroyer for, you know, in the women's division for the House of Black. So
Mm-hmm.
From bubbly to dark very fast.
Yeah. It's a good analogy, though. We all have a little dark side in us. Sometimes
that
we
is
just
true.
go, I don't know if we need mist in the face to bring it out, but that's one way.
And I love what you said about Deborah, because people also forget about what she did in WCW. Because I don't think if she would have caused that conflict with her husband, you know, Mongo, sure he was with the Horsemen, but he wouldn't have gotten, I don't think, as far to the level of what he got.
Yeah.
If there wasn't that dynamic.
Very true.
So what was the match for both of you that you guys realized, like, okay, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing? You know, because every wrestler has that where.
I think that my debut match, I was scared shitless. I don't know if I can say that on this.
No, you can't. You're good.
I was scared shitless. And Logan knew. I mean, I was going against Tyra for a women's match on my debut, for the women's championship. And just in those moments where you could hear the crowd and connect with the crowd, that was an adrenaline rush, and that was so cool. And I would say we kind of went through, I'd say the clique in general went through a period where we were just kind of feeling disenchanted over some things, because it's no secret that there's drama in the wrestling world. So we're feeling kind of like bummed out, and we're like, is this really what we're supposed to be doing? Like, this is, you know. And the CWC match, which should be on YouTube any day now, where we had the trios match against the Clique against the Butcherettes. So Tyra, me, and Urza against Logan, Major, and Frenchie. So much fun, and really revitalized that. And the fact that I got to, you know, clothesline my brother and hit him with one of my finishers because he wasn't paying attention was pretty awesome too.
He just likes to beat me up.
He knows my offense better than anyone, and still clicked him. Still.
I'm sure you heard about that when you got to the back.
No
like,
respect.
Really, dude.
No respect.
I even took us out to Applebee's afterwards. You know, he was a little bummed out, but
she owed me some chicken tendies.
No sauce.
No, you got to put the ketchup on it.
So, since you guys are members of a clique or a faction, top 5 factions of all time.
Ooh, DX for sure.
Yeah.
DX
I think
for
the
sure.
world was a much simpler place when we were all just telling each other to suck it.
Yep.
No wonder our teachers got so pissed when we made that joke, because we had no idea what it meant at the time. But yeah.
But it was cool. It was very cool.
Yeah. You know where you stood with people, you know?
Yep.
Yeah. I say that, or then if you go back to Triple H, Randy Orton, Ric Flair, and Batista. I don't know why I'm forgetting the name. Evolution, yes. That was a great tag team too, just because you had such big names, a powerhouse in Batista, you know, a legend in Ric Flair, Triple H, who is a legend in his own right, and then Randy Orton, who at the time was like an up and coming, like big star. And they always put on great matches and were always headlining. So that was another great faction. The Four Horsemen too, going back to the 80s and the 90s. The Four Horsemen were great. Anything Ric Flair does though is really great. So I love them. Yeah. What else you got? Chelsea, you got any? Or Nikki?
I quit using my shoot name.
She gonna hit you with her finisher again.
Yeah. I'm gonna try my new finisher on you.
Oh no.
I love the Shield. Like, how awesome is that? Where they come out of the crowd and they've got those, like, I'm assuming it's like military like codes or something. I don't know, where they're all repeating like Delta, Alpha.
Yeah.
That's cool. And those guys had trained together for so long that just smooth as butter. And then of course the whole turn with Seth Rollins is just beautiful storytelling. The Authority, like I can't, just who doesn't relate to that, like the boss just being like, and that's what's best for business, so those two come to mind.
Yeah, or even throwing it back to like the corporation or the corporate ministry too. Those were always such great storylines back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think I was 12 when the corporate ministry was around, and they scared the living bejesus out of me. So I was so afraid the Undertaker was going to come and like sacrifice me in the middle of the night or something.
I was right there with you.
It's funny to look back on now, but man, at the time when I was a 12-year-old, he was one of the scariest things I had ever seen.
Yeah, my biggest fear with the Undertaker was same thing, but I'm in a wheelchair, so I can't move very well. So my thought was, he comes through that window, I'm screwed.
Yeah.
Get over.
Well, the other thing too is he has those mystical powers, so like he could just turn the lights off, be one place 1 second, and turn them on, and he's just right in front of you. So
exactly.
Or that, he goes from dead to all of a sudden, you turn your back and you turn around and he's just like rising up like a corpse, and you're like, oh.
You're like, yep, I'm out.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah. I'm messing with the
I've seen this horror movie enough. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
So if each of you had a dream opponent from any generation, like if a promoter came up to you and said, tell me who you want and I'll make it happen, who would it be and why?
Dream opponent.
That's a good question. The first two that come to my mind would be like CM Punk or Stone Cold Steve Austin. That was just because I loved Stone Cold growing up, so it'd always be fun to work with one of the people that you looked up to when you were growing up as a kid. But then also with CM Punk too, because I think that he's a great technical wrestler and he does such an amazing job of telling a story in the ring. So I think that would be an awesome opportunity to work with someone who just like has such vast knowledge of the business.
Oh,
that's good.
I think one of the Japanese wrestlers, women's wrestlers, just because their style is so like hard hitting. Remind me of the women's champion's name. I don't want to mispronounce it for AEW.
Oh, Hikaru Shida.
Hikaru Shida. I
would love that. She's done this, like, I think she's my age and she's done this for like 20 years. And to be in the ring with someone that has honed the craft so much, and is hard hitting, and would give me a run for my money, that would be awesome.
You'd introduce it to me afterwards, right?
Maybe. Maybe.
See, I can see you and Hikaru Shida like in a hardcore match, since she carries that like kendo stick, and then like that way you could just go to town, right? Like,
yeah, I don't want to be on the receiving end. I don't know if Nikki Chase does hardcore matches. I'm kind of, I don't want to break my nails. I just got a manicure.
Of course you wouldn't be on the receiving end. You're Nikki Chase. You'd be dominating the match.
Yeah, Nikki, if you had a signature weapon, what would it be?
What's that?
Good question.
If you had a signature weapon, what would you take with you to the ring?
If I had, or are you asking what is?
Well, you have one? Oh.
Maybe if someone had been at practice last night, you would have known that.
Oh, there you go.
We got breaking news right here on the podcast.
Let's just say my pearls aren't for show. The pearls I wear out, the ring of pearls I wear out to the ring are not. Ropes of pearl aren't for show, just for show.
I was thinking more along the lines of a baseball bat like Harley Quinn. just be straightforward with it.
No, it's not elegant.
I kind of like the pearls because nobody would expect that, right?
Mhm.
Everybody expect like a baseball bat or something, but
Just wrap them around your knuckles.
And she's hit me with them backstage. They do not feel good when you get hit with them. They're very tough.
I bet not. So, what's the craziest crowd you guys have ever wrestled in front of?
Oh, the CSW crowd for sure, by far. I can't. Was it we had I faced Manny Lemons, and then the match before Chelsea faced Tyra, and that was probably we had a group of older ladies, we shall say, in the front row near where we were, and we got them worked up that whole match. And especially this one lady that was in the front row, we were just jabbing back and forth, and the crowd was into it and booing us, giving it to us as much as we were giving it to them. And that's what I think I love the most about the CSW crowd is they're very interactive. And if you go out there and you say the right thing, you can get them to jump up on their feet and start screaming at you, and you can get them going back and forth. And I think that's always a lot of fun. So that's been my favorite so far.
I was gonna say that's the only time I've been called a very harsh name by a crowd, but it was I loved it. I know I could get them that riled up. It was cool. And then I just kind of played to her the whole time, that the females that Chase is talking about, and just watching them get more and more like pissed off and agitated was cool.
And I think that's the coolest thing about like independent wrestling, as you know, the difference between like WWE and like AEW and like the stuff you see on TV is that personal interaction. Like even if it's from the wrestlers during the show, like there's no other place that you can like get in somebody's face, you know, and tell them how you feel and really have no repercussions for it unless you take it too far.
Yep. And it used to kind of be that way back in the 90s too, when the crowds were like huge and they had all the signs. I remember going to shows and you could see like Stone Cold Steve Austin would kind of get in the face of fans as he was walking down to the ring and, you know, doing his whole spiel. But as the WWE got bigger and became a publicly traded company, you could see, especially even now with AEW and the stuff that happened with MJF and throwing the water or the alcohol in that kid's face, they got to be careful about what they let the wrestlers do because they got an image to uphold.
Yeah. Yeah, MJF does kind of step over that line a few times, but
yes, he's a habitual line stepper for sure.
Okay, so my executive producer's in the comments, and he wants to know, and so do I. Have you guys ever wrestled in Washington State?
No, I have not.
Me either. I've wrestled in Kansas and this coming weekend New Mexico, but we've been primarily Colorado.
Yep, Chasing Glory has got some bookings coming up that'll be in Kansas and New Mexico as well. But most of our stuff so far has been in Colorado. We're also kind of hoping to branch down into Texas because we know the Pitbulls have some ins down there, so maybe we're hoping to kind of go down there and get some work in as well. Yeah, but only time will tell because right now everything's kind of blown up real fast for us. So, you know, it could be we get a booking next month and we're up in Washington. So it's always a possibility.
We're definitely open. Not a no.
You know,
we're definitely open.
You know, I might be able to help with that in the future.
Huh?
And let me explain. Not only is Inclusion Matters a podcast, but we're starting our own promotion called Inclusion Pro Wrestling. And the reason it's called Inclusion is 3 of the people on our board of directors, including myself, have a physical disability. So that's going to be like our mission statement for the promotion is regardless of what you have going on, disability or otherwise, you know, come hang out with us, right? See if you ever had a dream of like being a professional wrestler, you know, come hang out, you know, check it out, see if it's something that you want to do. If not, okay, but you got a chance to live your dream. Because for 20 years, people told me because I was in a wheelchair that I could never get into a wrestling ring or do something in wrestling because wrestling's a physical sport, right? You're in a wheelchair. that the two don't really like match up on paper. But all that did was motivate me. It took me 20 years, but I finally got enough money saved up to buy a ring. And we're working on getting a venue and sponsors and, things like that. And we would be honored to have you guys come out when we do, the show. We have other people eventually coming out from Colorado, like Panda, K-Dabber, things like that. So,
yeah, that'd be seriously, that'd be an honor for us to come out there and be on your guys' first show or any show really. So that'd be a huge honor for us.
And we do need managers, and I think you would, like, with the people here, Nikki, you would get over so well, because all you'd have to do is tell like one person off, and this whole place would go insane.
I have a way of pissing people off. I can do that for you.
Like I said, you would get over so well. It would. I mean, you think CSW would give you a reaction? You'd probably boot out of the building in a good way.
You got to be careful because anywhere Nikki goes, the heat comes with it.
Hey, that's a good thing.
Yeah. I was going to say, as long as they know who's in charge, not a problem. Just they remember who's in charge.
Let me give you some history about the ring, because this will make you guys go, wow, because it did me. Roddy Piper's wrestled in our ring.
Oh, wow.
Eddie Guerrero.
Wow.
Playboy Buddy Rose.
So it's seen some history.
Yes, very much so.
That's pretty cool.
And so, yeah, again, we would love to have you guys come down, and you guys would kill it down here.
Yeah.
Well, you have
Chase and Glory, and everybody would kill it down here.
And you've got our info anytime, man. Just let us know. We
absolutely.
Awesome.
I'd love it.
And I do apologize. I have a shoot appointment.
No, that's right. You had mentioned something about that. So we can. How about really quick? What's your guys' next match, and where can we find you on social media? And then. Yeah,
I'm on Instagram. That's mostly where I'm active, at Nikki.Chase16. That is the Instagram handle. And I am next in New Mexico for Battle of New Mexico against, as I said, Micah Madrid, who also goes by Sylvia Sanchez. And that is this Friday, August 11th. And the show, I believe, starts at 7.
I am on social media. So on Instagram, you can find me at nightmare_Logan Chase. And then if you search on Facebook, Logan Chase, you'll find me because I'm just the coolest profile on Facebook. Let's be real. And then the next show that we've got going on is Chasing Glory. Will be wrestling this Sunday for the Primos family reunion show. So that's going to be Sunday. I think the bell starts at 7 p.m. It'll be on Fight TV if anybody wants to tune in and watch. If you're out of state, that'd be awesome. It should be a really fun show because, anytime Chasing Glory is on the TV, it's always a good old time. So.
Sounds good. Well, I want to thank you both for coming on. It was very fun, and you guys are more than welcome to come back on again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe do round 2.
Same place next time. You can really get the sibling rivalry.
There you go. Yeah.
And you can put them in a headlock or something on the.
Well, she already does that enough. Maybe we'll skip that part.
Gotcha. All right. Well, thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And enjoy the rest of your day.
You too. Thank you, guys.
Thanks. So before we go, one more time, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Precision Power Washing, and you can find him on Facebook, El Ranchero Mexican Restaurant in Longview, Washington. The CARE program, which stands for Community Action Reaching Everybody. And you can find the lady that's in charge of that on Facebook, and her name's Becky Bernhardt. And Bruce Nichols Painting for all your painting, pressure washing, and lead removal needs. And you can find him on Angie's. And American Family Insurance, and the agent there is Kevin Wasson. So thank you very much, and we will see you tonight because we have another interview at 6 o'clock. Thank you, and have a great day, everybody.